So we've had high winds for the last few days. I mean, really high winds. But today it's kind of warm in the high 50s and the winds are light. So I'm going to spend the day in my woods cleaning things up, splitting wood, just generally enjoying a good day outdoors. Right now you can see I'm splitting some wood, and here's the tools that I use. I kind of laugh. Makes me think of something that Bob Gibson used to say. Bob Gibson was a St. Louis Cardinal fireballer in the 60s and 70s, and he used to call catcher's equipment the tools of ignorance. I thought that was funny. So here are some wedges. There's a spiral one that really is effective, and a couple of other wedges, and then the Big Daddy if I need it. And just use a sledgehammer, handheld. So here's the cart. We sawed up. We had to take down a red oak, rather large one, last November. So these are just limbs that were cut up and stacked on the side of the woods in the side yard, and I've been hauling them back over here, cutting them up. There's Tigger. Tigger always likes to know what's going on. And over there, Max the shop dog is also checking things out. He likes running around in the woods. So here is my platform. I just used some concrete blocks, put the logs in there, and then split them. And here's what I've been splitting. I was working on this yesterday, so it's quite a large pile of woods. Probably last us at least a year. So now I'm going to walk around in the, this is what I call my lumber yard. So right here under this orange tarp is some red elm and some red oak that I've been using my homemade chainsaw mill to slab over, and that was just recently. That tree fell and was part of the trees that were taken down in November. And I want to make it clear, I don't take trees down that are alive. These were trees that were dead, and rather than burn them up, my hobby is woodworking, so therefore they are now drying and hopefully will be ready to use in about a year. These are some slabs that I free-handed well, that's probably, they're 2-inch thick, a little more, and so those were 2 years ago, and in July they'll be ready to use. And behind that you can just barely make out a brown tarp. That's also some wood that's been slabbed and waiting to be used. That's a stack of firewood. That's another stack of firewood. These are some red oak slabs, some various slabs that probably were done last fall, and more firewood, more firewood, more firewood. Here is a stack of, well, probably mostly red oak in this stack. It was done last March. And so they're ready to, they were slabbed at about 1 inch thick. And so I'm going to be taking some of these out for a project that I'm going to be working on. That's red oak here. And this is a pile of white oak that I'll be, again, they'll be ready to use anytime after, after March, after this month. So here is some, well, these trees were tree limbs that were, we had a storm about 2 years ago, probably in July, I think it was, and it just tore up some of our trees. This long pole here is part of a Cleveland pear. The thing next to it is part of a sycamore. There's another sycamore log back there that I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. Probably what I think I might do on this, at least on the sycamore, is I might use that for turning blankets. A little small, on the smallish side for slabbing. I wouldn't get much out of it, but it may be that I can play with turning something. The Cleveland pears, I'm not really sure what I'd use that for. It'd be interesting to see what the wood looks like. We had a very nice cherry tree that was uprooted, and I did slab that cherry, and it's in that pile right there. Didn't get very much boards out of it, wasn't that big, but I am going to be using it for something. Back here you can see that I have white oak that I've used for making slab tables. Got cracks in it, obviously, splits. Probably came down 10-15 years ago, but it makes nice little cocktail tables with little metal legs on it. So anyway, this is what I call my lumber yard, and it's going to be a nice day. Max and I are going to enjoy the woods and being outside, and splitting firewood, and then putting it on. I'm going to build a platform using concrete blocks and old pallets that are free, so I can stack the firewood up so that it'll be ready. I've got lots and lots of firewood out in the woods yet. Again, high winds, you know, cause trees to fall down, and there's plenty of material out there. I'm getting to the point where I probably have enough lumber that I don't have enough years left to use, so slabbing it may not be in the future, but I really don't like burning it, making it into firewood, unless that's the last resort. But anyway, there's trees all over the place out there. They're mostly red oaks, mostly white oaks, but every now and then there'd be hickory and cherry. And I have planted my own walnuts, but they're not a big enough size yet, so we'll see. Hackberry. Anyway, day in the woods, and it's a nice day, nice and warm. And you know what they say about firewood, it warms you twice, once when you split it and then when you burn it. So that's what I'll be doing today, using these tools of ignorance. Okay, so this is a stack of logs that were laying on the ground earlier today. I've been working all day on this. Got them stacked up off the ground on blocks so air can circulate. As soon as I get to Harbor Freight or someplace, I'll buy a tarp so we can tarp it and keep it dry throughout the year. And this was the second pallet, so same thing. I'll put a tarp on it and get it up off the ground and keep it dry. But there's many more stacks that we're going to have to do based on the logs that need to be cut up. But again, I'll clean up the area, create another couple of pallets to hold some of the wood. So then I turn my attention to, I need some red oak that for a project I'm working on. I've already taken the boards inside, so in a minute or so we'll look at those. But here's part of the pile that's left. This wood was cut last March, so it's been drying for about a year. The trees actually had been down many years, and I dragged them over and loaded them on the truck and took them out to a friend of mine who has a LT50, and he sawed them up with that bandsaw, and it did a very good job. So very consistent cuts, reasonably smooth, and I'm pretty happy with it. Again, the boards aren't in the best condition because the actual logs themselves weren't in great condition, but that's what you get when you use logs to lumber. The pile over there under the tarp is white oak. Stacked them separate. Trying to think of a project for it too. Anyway, I'll retarp it later on. I'm going to go inside, have a few cocktails, dinner. It's the time of year where it stays light late. And I've been working all day. I'm kind of tired. There's a stack of lumber that I'm going to use for a project. The project is going to be, in our bathroom we have 2 mirrors, his and hers. Hers is real big, his is not as big, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a frame for it in a green and green style using red oak. Now I know green and green usually used mahogany, but I don't have mahogany and I'm not likely to get any. So what I do have is a lot of red oak, so I'm going to use it, and I'll use it and accent it with walnut, which I think oak and walnut look good together. So tomorrow is going to be a prep day, lots of milling, sizing, getting things ready, but it's going to be a long day. I'm also going to take some sassafras that I have, mill it up, and I'm going to use it for a tabletop in my master closet reorganization or remodeling that I did. I put in some basically some bathroom cabinets that I got out from Habitat for Humanity Reuse It shop, but there's no top on it, so I'm going to use the sassafras for the top. Again, that'll be a lot of milling, and then I'll, once that's done, sometime next week, I'll be able to start the project. Anyway, it's been a long day, I'm tired, I'm going to go in and have a cocktail.